With our moving ahead with our poem, we have the poet. We have stopped where the poet says that the children back in the days when the television was not invented kept reading books. They kept reading more and more books, and they used to learn from that. Then he exclaims, "Great Scott, gadzooks!" So you can underline that. This is exclamation of surprise. All right, these are exclamation of surprise or dismay, you can say, amazement. That is, the poet is amazed that how the children were so engrossed in reading back in those days, and they have forgotten it now. One half their lives was reading their books. That is, they were so indulged in reading the books that they spent half of their lives reading and reading. All right. So he makes use of exclamation to bring out the amazement or dismay that he finds in today's children who do not like reading books anymore. Instead, they are sitting glued to their television screen. The nursery shelves held books galore, books cluttered up the nursery floor. And in the bedroom, by the bed, more books were waiting to be read. Such wondrous, fine, fantastic tales of dragons, gypsies, queens and whales, and isles and distant shores where smugglers rode with muffined oars. So he says that the nursery shelves, they were filled with books. All right, books galore. Galore means large numbers. So he says the nursery shelves, they were filled with large number of books. All right. So at a very tender age itself, the children had started reading in earlier days. At a very tender age, they used to like it happened that we too like bedtime stories. We had all the comics books and all. So the nurse when the children were very small, since then they have had developed a habit of reading. All right. And their shelves, they were filled with large number of books. And then he says books cluttered up the nursery floor. That is, they were spread all over the floor too. Why? Because the children kept reading, and once they read a book, they left it on the floor and then they went away. So when you enter a child's room, you find that the room is filled with plenty of books. There are books present on the shelves. There are books scattered all over the floor in the rooms. Why? Because they were reading all the time. Then in the bedroom by the bed, even in the bedroom by the bed, their books are kept. That is, they read to sleep. That is, they used to read some stories at bedtime, and then they used to go to sleep. So they would read sit by the on the bed, and they would read, and then they would place their books by the side of the bed, and they would go to sleep. So you can find books in the bedroom also. Then he says that such wondrous, fine, fantastic tales. The tales refers to stories. So he says that the stories that the children used to, study, they were wonderful stories. All right, and these stories were about dragons, gypsies, queens, and whales, and treasure isles, and distant shores. All right, these stories, they talked about all kinds of fictitious stories were there. So they dealt with various things. They dealt about stories about kings and queens. Then they talked about treasure islands. Then they talked about far away places where the smugglers were rowing with muffled oars, and then the pirates wearing purple pants. Means he's just create trying to create interest in the audience to go back to the same reading habit. And he reminds that the stories were so interesting, people liked it so much, so they must return back to the same habit. So making references to all the beautiful points, that is the things about which the stories were, he is trying to arouse interest among the readers. So he says, and the stories were about pirates wearing purple pants. You know pirates, who pirates are. They are the, sea robbers, you can say. They travel by ship and they rob the ships that are on sail. The cargo ships, they rob those. So he says that the stories were about those pirates who wear purple pants, then about sailing ships, and then elephants and cannibals crouching round the pot. Cannibal refers to people who eat human meat. All right, the ones that kill their own species and eat are referred to as cannibals. So the humans who kill other humans and eat, they are referred to as cannibals. So the cannibals crouching means sitting in a position where you're sitting down on the floor and your legs are folded and against your chest. So that is the position of sitting that is referred to as couching. So all the there is a pot lit between, and the cannibals are sitting around the pot cooking something. It smells so good. What
Shivansh
can
Mishra,
it be?
ma'am, excuse me, Shivansh Mishra, don't sit in the dark. Show your face. Yes, ma'am. Please continue.
All right. So he says that what stirring away at something hot. It smells so good. What can it be? So he is arousing interest of the readers. How? By saying that the cannibals are cooking something. They are stirring something in the pot. And when he's referred cannibals, we can understand what they are going to eat. But then he further says that is the thing that is being cooked in the pot is smelling very good. What can it be? He's arousing suspense over here, that there is some suspense, there is something wrong. What can it be that the cannibals are cooking for themselves? All right, so he's just helping the audience to arouse their interest in the stories. He's referring to all kinds of stories, fantasy, fiction, then thriller stories. All right, so he is creating a variety of genre over here, that you can read your type of books. All kinds of books are available over here. Then he says that, good gracious, it's Penelope. The young, then he says that the younger ones had Beatrix Potter with Todd, the Dirty Rotter, and Squirrel Nutkin, Pigling Bland, and Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, and how the camel got his hump, and how the monkey lost his rump, and Mr. Toad, bless my soul. So he's making reference to all these stories. So fine. First of all, he is talking about the cannibals. Then he wonders that what it could be that they are cooking from the pots. Then he says that good gracious, it's Penelope. That is, he remembers that it is something from Penelope's recipe books. All right. Penelope's recipe books were very famous. So he says that they have, taken out some recipe from Penelope's books, and they are cooking that. And because it's from Penelope's book, he was very famous, the recipes were very good, and therefore it is smelling so good. So he creates suspense over there, and then he breaks the suspense on his own, and then he says, oh yes, I remember, they are cooking something from the recipes that have been given by Penelope. Then he says the younger ones, that is the younger children, what they do, they had Beatrix Potter. So Beatrix Potter, you can underline. Beatrix Potter, you can underline. Beatrix Potter is an author. All right. And when he says it's Beatrix Potter, he means to say that all the books of Beatrix Potter. All right. If I say that I have Ruskin Bond, that means I have got most of the books of Ruskin Bond. All right. So over here, he is saying in the similar manner that the younger ones, they had Beatrix Potter. And what were the books of Beatrix Potter? That the famous authoress is Beatrix Potter, and she has written beautiful stories with different animal characters. All right, she has taken up animals and created characters like Mr. Todd, Squirrel Nutkin, Pigling Bland, Tiggy Winkle in her stories for little children. All right, so she's taken up all kinds of animals and she has characterized them and made up stories about them. Then the poet says that we have the stories how the camel got his hump. Then we have how the monkey lost his rump. These two stories are by Ruskin Bond. Sorry. These two stories are by Rudyard Kipling. All right. So the poet is making references to all kinds of various authors and authors, and he is doing all this just to arouse the interest of the readers, making reference to all kinds of books, trying to arouse the interest of the readers so that they read the books and they make their children read the books. All right. Then he says there is Mr. Toad and bless my soul. Bless my soul means he is very happy and to remember all these books, that oh my god, we're so blessed that we've got such talented writers and such great stories. Then he says that I remember that there's Mr. Rat and Mr. Mole. Oh books, what books they used to know, those children living long ago. All right, so he says that we are blessed that we have got such great books. And he says that I remember we have Mr. Toad, we have Mr. Rat, and Mr. Mole. These are characters, and we are the children who used to, read these books. They who know about these characters are, very blessed. The children who lived long ago and who read about these characters, who knew these characters, were blessed. All right. So you can underline over here Mr. Todd, then Squirrel Nutkin, Pigling Blank, Mrs. Tiggy Winkle. These are all characters that have been set up by the authoress Beatrix Potter. All right. Then how the camel got his hump and how the monkey lost his rump. These are two stories that have been written by Rudyard Kipling. All right. Then Mr. Toad, Mr. Rat, and Mr. Mole are also characters. They are characters in another author, Kenneth Graham's book. All right. So he says that the children who knew these characters, who knew the stories, who had read these stories, were blessed. All right. Then he says, so please, oh please, we beg, we pray. What? Go throw your TV set away, and in its place you can install a lovely bookshelf on the wall. All right. So he is requesting the parents that please go and throw away your TV sets and replace it with bookshelves on the walls and fill them with lots of books, and then fill the shelves with lots of books, ignoring all dirty looks. Dirty looks? What are the dirty looks? When you are throwing away the television set, obviously the children are going to agitate. They are going to frown, they are going to shout, they are going to scream. So do not pay attention to the dirty looks that your children are going to give you. The screams, the yells, the bites and kicks, and children hitting you with sticks. All right, fear not, because we promise you. So the poet knows that when the parents are going to uninstall their television sets, what the children are going to do? They are going to behave in all kinds of weird ways. Why? Because they're so addicted to the television now that they wouldn't want to leave it, right? So they are going to, what they're going to do, they're going to give you dirty looks. They're going to scream at you. Yell means shout. They're going to shout at you. They're going to bite you. All right, they're going to kick you. Like when your mother says that you've been, using your mobile phone for 2 hours now. Now please keep it aside, otherwise I'm going to throw it away. So what do you start? You start shouting that I have just now taken it. Why do you say that I'm using it since 2 hours? I just took it now. All right, and you start, arguing. You do not want to leave your mobile phones. So similarly, the children, they had become so much addicted to the television that they do not want to leave it, and they are going to do all kinds of show all kind of weird behavior to avoid it from happening. So they are going to bite and then kick, and then they are going to hit you with sticks. So he tells them they are going to, go to any limits, and they are even going to take up sticks and maybe hit you. But be ready for that. Fear not, because we promise you that in about a week or two, of having nothing else to do, they will now begin to feel the need of having something to read. So the poet says, but do not worry. Once the television set is uninstalled and they spend about a week or 2 weeks maybe of doing nothing else, means they would have nothing to do. So they will get bored and then they will feel that, okay, fine, at least let me read something. They will feel the need to read. And once they start, oh boy, that is, they do not know the value of reading or the pleasure that one gets in reading, and therefore they're not reading it now. But once they start reading, what will happen? Oh boy is again use of exclamation. He says that once they start developing this habit of reading, it will fill happiness in the hearts of the children. You watch the slowly growing joy. That is, slowly the happiness builds in their hearts. That fills their hearts. They'll grow so keen, they'll wonder what they've ever seen in that ridiculous machine. He says that once they develop a habit of reading and happiness fills their hearts, then they will themselves wonder that what they used to watch on that screen, or why did they watch it. Then they will wonder what they had ever seen in that ridiculous machine. That is, they will themselves feel that it was a ridiculous machine and they must not have wasted their time on it. That nauseating, foul, unclean, repulsive television screen. So he's using all kinds of negative words for the television. He's saying that it's disgusting, it's evil, it's unclean. All right. And he promises that the children are going to feel in the same manner as he thinks. And later, each and every kid will love you more for what you did. And then they are going to love you more for uninstalling the television rather than installing it. Once they understand the pleasure of reading, once they start getting happiness out of reading, they are going to be very, very happy with you that you uninstalled the television screens. All right. So this was your poem. Now you can tell me if you have got any problems. If we talk about the tone of the
Ma'am, two
poem.
children want to ask something, Vedika and Rashmi.
Yes, sir.